Gary Wozniak, and I am the CEO and founder of Recovery Park. And Recovery Park launched in 2010. Our mission is to create jobs for people with barriers to employment, so people coming out of prison and drug treatment programs. I'm a returning citizen, I'm a recovering addict, so I started this to support other people like me. We are building jobs around food, so growing food, value-added production of food like making salads or complete meals, and then distribution of food into the wholesale and retail space for sale. What you're standing in right now we call Beta Farm, so it was the first farm that we built in the city of Detroit. It's a little over an acre of land. It's comprised of 8 greenhouses or high tunnels. The high tunnels are soil-based, they're organic. They're set up with solar power to power the operation of the high tunnels, so the inflatable roofs, the roll-up sides, the louvers that open and close for heat or cooling. And we're starting to experiment a little bit with green energy for cars. We have 8 charging stations here. We call it the Shane Ferry neighborhood. Some people call it Poletown or Black Bottom North. It's really the second oldest neighborhood in the city outside of downtown Detroit and Corktown. It started building in the 1870s, and by 1950 it was completely built out. Okay. And then the decline of the auto industry and other things that happened in the city, it's pretty much empty now. One of the things that we decided to do when we approached the city to do Recovery Park is we wanted to do something that was different with the land. So as we were repurposing the land, we wanted to make sure that we A, cleaned it up, 2, that we put it into use for something that was necessary today in creating the jobs, and 3, that if we ever had to leave this footprint, that we would leave this footprint better than we found it. Because I believe that we treat the world like a trash can, then we shouldn't be doing that. So solar fits into that really well. I mean, we're not burning fossil fuels, we're trying to capitalize on something that's a burgeoning industry. We were on the leading edge when we put in our solar panels. Obviously, 3 years later, they're not the most efficient, but for back then they were. So this is a high tunnel. It's roughly 5,000 square feet. It's a soil-based building. It's built out of structural steel and plastic. It has an inflatable roof that's powered by solar panels. So when we were first doing the concept for the Beta Farm, we couldn't figure out if we wanted to just bring regular electric in here because the grid's pretty shaky in this neighborhood. So we decided that solar panels would be a better alternative because it's a little more consistent power for us. So the first thing that we did was we looked at the size of the greenhouses and what we wanted the power to operate. And then we looked at the loads of each of the pieces of equipment that was going to operate. So the fans, the devices that raise and lower the sides, the louvers, and we sized the panels so that we could make sure that we had enough power. We also wanted to make sure that the panels were providing a little extra power, so we took them in for the winter time, but there were storage batteries attached to each of the panels because in the summertime it could get hot at night, so the sides needed to open and close to heat and cool. And when the sun goes down, obviously you don't have any solar, so the batteries were providing that. So after we did that, we went to the different solar manufacturers and we said these are our needs, and we priced them out, and we worked with our contractor, O'Brien Construction, and they came when they built the high tunnels and they installed them.
So it was all done at the same time?
It was all done at the same time. It was about a 45-day process from the time we started looking at our options and assembling the data till we actually placed the order. The panels they're not stock, but they took about 30 days to get here, and then a couple days to install. It was really painless. You can pay in installments if you want to. Some companies will actually finance based on the cost savings.
Right.
So they'll keep a percentage of the cost savings for a number of years. That's one way to do it. I think that if you can raise the money, $20,000 isn't that much money. So if you can raise the money and just get it paid off, and it can be philanthropic, that's even better.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay it back, and you can just start generating the cost savings right away. Our next goal is to build a 2.5 acre completely climate controlled greenhouse that will also have a solar component with it. And then we're working with DTE Energy to figure out if we can go with a much larger solar footprint for the neighborhood, or if we have to go with something alternative like a natural gas system or wind. If it's solar panels going on grid, so that we can have constant power, because when we build a large scale greenhouse, we can't let the crops not have access to energy on a regular basis for all the systems that they'll be operating. It's made things a little bit easier because when we first came out here, the electric grid's pretty erratic. Some of the wiring in this neighborhood dates back to the turn of the last century, so like some of the original electric installation. We knew that DTE Energy and Consumer Power were not going to come in and rebuild their grids for us. So, it's really made our life easier just in giving us the stability that we need for the power that we need. I think that it's important that we transition to alternative energy and alternative grids, microgrids maybe for neighborhoods, because the cost of just putting in the infrastructure alone to rewire this neighborhood and put in all new pipes for gas and other types of things it's cost prohibitive.
Right.
So if we can come in as a community partner and we can put in a microgrid that might be able to service 2,500 homes and businesses as they develop in the neighborhood, and they can all participate in the decision making on expanding or decreasing the infrastructure and maintaining it and take us out of that big corporate loop, I think that that's a good advantage. I also think that pioneering the newer types of technology and every few years upgrading if possible, so that we're always on the leading edge, so that people can come here and they can see it and learn as a demonstration from our nonprofit side. I think that that's really, really important. Understand what your power needs are and put it on paper. Just don't make a guesstimate or an estimate, and then probably increase that by 30% so you have some capacity for the future. Make a decision if you want to tie into the grid or not, because that's an important decision based for equipment needs. And then make sure that you have some sort of backup, particularly if you're doing something like growing plants or a daycare or something, so that if the solar panels go down and you still need the energy, that you've either got a storage battery backup or that you're tied into a natural gas generator or something, so that you always have that 24/7 power need. Financing of projects like this is getting much easier. You can go to any community development financial institution and talk to them about financing one of these types of operations, and they're more than happy to do that. You can go to the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, you can go to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. A number of the foundations are doing this sort of work, and what they're looking for is the cost of the installation and the savings. I would encourage people, if they're going to do solar panels, to start early. Wintertime's a great point to start, so you can get it in the spring or early summer. You can get all your financing, you can have all your calculations, you can order all your parts and everything and get the builders and everything. It's not as daunting as everybody thinks that it is. It's just a matter of making the decision to do it. If we can do it, and I didn't know anything about solar panel installation when I started, to where we're at today, anybody can do it.